Why have you come here?
Not your concern, devil.
Hey everyone, this is Maggie, and today we're gonna break down and explain Them Season 1 ending. Since we will be talking about Season 1 in depth, beware big spoilers flying your way. Them is a horror drama anthology series on Amazon Prime by first-time writer and creator Little Marvin. Season 1 of the series takes place in the 1950s during the Great Migration and follows a black family as they move into an all-white neighborhood in California. The Emery family is soon haunted by murderous spirits in their house and by equally malevolent racist neighbors who seem to stop at nothing to get them to move away. Terrorized from all directions, the family spiral out of control as ghosts of their own darkness begin to take over. Last seen standing inside a ring fire, what happens to the Emery family next? If the ending of Them Season 1 has left you with questions, you've come to the right place. After admitting to carrying around their baby son's corpse with her, Lucky is admitted to a mental institution where most of the patients seem to be lobotomized and is denied contact with her family. Betty is kept imprisoned by George the milkman, who has an unhealthy obsession with her. Henry and his daughter, meanwhile, are ambushed in their house by two of their neighbors who claim to be looking for Betty, but also just want to hurt the Emerys. As the climax of the season finale builds, Lucky escapes from the mental institution after possibly killing the sadistic doctor. Henry, who is being lynched by his neighbors in the basement of his own home, is helped by Ruby and manages to overpower them. He beats one of them up in the middle of the street with the rest of the neighbors watching. As all the neighbors begin to close in, chanting racist slurs against the family, Lucky screams, causing a ring of fire to burst out of their front yard, which protects the Emorys and keeps the mob at bay.
You don't belong here. This is our home. Go back to where you came from!
As each member of the Emory family comes to terms with their ghosts, Lucky goes to the basement to confront the priest in the black hat, who has haunted their family the longest. He asks her what she will do when she realizes that she and her family are cursed forever. Lucky replies by saying that the priest has blinded them all, but now she sees him. The priest's eyes slowly turn a milky hue, and he eventually bursts into flames, leaving the Emorys united and standing in their front yard looking determined, surrounded by a ring of fire and the angry neighborhood mob. As tense as ending as any, the season finale is satisfying and cathartic. But it leaves us with many questions, the most burning of which is if the Emory family continues to live in Compton, given all that's occurred? And the surprising answer is most likely yes.
That your curse follows you. Followed you here to our land, and will follow you.
Throughout Season 1, we see the family fight to make a place for themselves in the predominantly white environment they suddenly find themselves in. In their neighborhood and Henry's work, and even at the girls' schools, they are constantly subjected to ridicule and treated unfairly. But we see them persevere, finding the strength in each other when the rest of the world seems to be against them. Right at the start, when they first move to Compton and are faced by bigoted neighbors, Henry says to a panicking Lucky that they are not going to run anymore.
One of them motherfuckers out there gets squirrely.
This is seen throughout the rest of the show, as all four members of the family take stance against the forces terrorizing them, and, in the finale, the phrase about not running away is repeated. This emphasizes the fact that the family is adamant about staying where they are, despite the obvious hurdles they will face by staying in Compton.
You know, the good thing about being neighbors, Mrs. Wendell, she know where to find me.
In the end, when having dealt with the ghosts of their past, we see them standing outside of their house looking determined. It is further emphasized that they are not going anywhere. Of course, Henry's murder of the policeman and Lucky assaulting the orderly and doctor at the mental institution continues to linger as possible threats to the family's freedom, as do their sadistic neighbors. But given that they are now united, it seems like a cross that bridge when they get to a situation, with the family persevering to stay where they are and not leave Hampton. It is further interesting to note that given the accurate historical context of the show, the town where it is based on, Hampton, eventually became a largely African-American local and is iconic in popular culture today. So, symbolically, too, the Emery family does not leave the neighborhood. The Amori family is inundated by malevolent forces from multiple directions throughout the show. Their racist and often sadistic neighbors notwithstanding, the most obvious element haunting the family is the memory of their youngest member, Chester, who was brutally murdered by white people as a baby. Lucky is unable to let him go. She confirms this when the baby's corpse is discovered and hides the box containing his remains in the basement. We see their most persistent tormentor, the priest in the black hat, originate from the same spot in the basement where Chester's body is hidden. The decaying priest symbolizes the inherent fears brought up by being victims of racism that the family struggles to confront.
I'm right here, baby.
Is that your baby?
Yes, he is.
The Amori family is also haunted by ghosts who signify various fears and desires that the characters have. The common thread, however, between all their tormentors is that they stem from the traumatic experience that African Americans faced whilst integrating into a suburb society around the 1950s. The idea of nothing ever changing or improving, of racism remaining an inherent part of society, is alluded to multiple times and haunts the characters constantly.
And Coffee come back to life like Lazarus himself.
Each member of the family is haunted by separate ghosts comprised of their deepest unspoken fears and desires. These ghosts have an almost schizophrenic effect on their victims, appearing to them as real and making them do outlandish and disturbing things without realizing it. Henry is haunted by a dark, taunting man in blackface who crops up whenever Henry feels helpless in the face of exploitation. His ghost constantly reminds him of how he wasn't able to save his wife and son whilst they were being attacked.
You like them peaches? Nigga, quiet yourself before I kill you!
Ruby has a deep, unspoken desire to be accepted, for which she thinks she needs to be white. Her ghost takes the form of Doris, a pretty blonde girl in her school who repeatedly compliments Ruby's beauty and even starts turning Ruby's features Caucasian. Her younger sister Gracie is given instructions by a bad-smelling figure who resembles a character from one of her books that Gracie idolizes. Both Gracie and her mother Lucky also encounter the priest in the black hat, who embodies the long-standing racism seen in the town of Compton.
I want to be beautiful, Doris. Perfect. Like you.
The insidious priest's origin stretches back many decades to when he blinded and burnt a helpless African-American couple on the same patch of land that the Amori house is now built on. It is noteworthy that the ghost features are always shown as decaying bodies, most likely signifying the festering internal trauma of the family and the rot of racism at the heart of society. These are themes that the show creator Lil Marvin expressed as wanting to explore on the show.
You are cursed! I curse you!
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notifications about our latest videos. As Lucky walks towards her home after escaping from the mental asylum, she has a determined look that seems to suggest that she has now given up any hope of finding justice or equality and realizes that she must stand up against the forces tormenting her family. We see her silence the neighbors and even vanquish the insidious priest, whilst the fire around the house keeps burning. In one of the flashbacks, we see something similar happening when the pregnant African-American woman curses the priest and his community just before they burn her. In that instant, the room she is in, and subsequently the rest of the community town, burst into flames. The flame seen outside the Amori's house is the final and possibly born out of the same energy and passion that Lucky now feels and seem to symbolize an undying spirit of black community that refuses to be extinguished. The flames also likely serve as a warning of retribution to the bigoted neighbors if they continue to torment the family.
And your sons and daughters will each and all be led away into captivity.
George the milkman is a close supporter of Betty's cause for most of the show, and the two spend a lot of time discussing how to eject the Amori's family from the neighborhood. Promising to be a man of action, George offers to help Betty, and she takes him up on the offer only to be drugged and kept hostage by him. It is revealed that George has an unhealthy obsession with Betty and keeps her locked in the underground silo, thinking the two can have a happy life together. When Betty stabs him and tries to escape, he shoots her with no hesitation. George's character is an ironic one and highlights the neighborhood residents' blindness to the real villain hiding amongst them. Whilst they all suspect the Amoris for Betty's disappearance and blame them for ruining the neighborhood, it is their trusty milkman who has murdered a member of their society. The milkman murdering Betty is one of many but most blatant forms of racism hypocrisy highlighted in the show.
No, if you're having guests, I don't want to be a bother.
No, I didn't mean this second, George. I just meant we couldn't have our usual time, that's all.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Please make sure to give the video a like and subscribe with that bell on to get notified as soon as one of our videos comes out.